Okay, around the top, here we have our exposure compensation button. This allows us to change the exposure based on how the camera has metered it. So if the camera has metered and says, okay, this should be a proper exposure, to me it looks a little dark, well, I can use the exposure compensation button to tell the camera we want it a little bit brighter. The ISO button is to increase ISO or decrease ISO, but keep in mind that the more ISO we use, the more noise, okay, or lack of quality and sharpness you're going to see in your image. We try to keep the ISO as low as possible at all times. Above that is the on-off switch, and in the middle of that is a shutter release button, and this is how we take our picture. Now, we can also push this halfway down and it'll autofocus for us. The red button below on the left is used to start video and stop video. And coming around to the front of the camera, you'll see a red light in the front, and this is a self-timer light. This will beep as we're waiting to take a picture, so when Daddy has started the camera self-timer and has 5 seconds to run into the photo, he'll know how much time he has because that will be blinking for him. There's a PV button here, and this is programmable as well. Another function button below that's programmable. These are ergonomically in great positions because as I grab the camera, they fit right where my fingers would go. Here is a button that a lot of people seem to miss, but we can turn on our autofocus or turn off by going manual with our autofocus with this switch, and also the button in the middle will let us switch between single autofocus and continuous autofocus, so this is important. Here is a lens release button where we would push in to twist and release our lens. And above that, we have a few doors here for multi-pin connectors that we can use for things like remote shutter releases and other accessories. Around the other side of the camera, we've got a few doors that are watertight. Okay, and here we have a microphone in and then headphone out for monitoring. This is a USB connector, and we can connect into our computer. We can connect into our computer with this USB adapter and then drag and drop files. I like to do this, I tend to use this more than taking a card out of my camera and putting it in a card reader. I'll just walk up to my computer, plug in my USB, drag and drop the files I need, and be done with it. Below that is a mini HDMI, okay, and we can use this for any kind of outbound monitoring that we want to do. Okay, it does have the Wi-Fi symbol letting us know that there's a wireless network card that we can use to connect to Wi-Fi or any wireless networks. Also a Bluetooth symbol letting us know that it's Bluetooth capable. Okay, around the back of the camera we have a multi-selector wheel, and we can use this directional pad to navigate through our menu system and also to choose autofocus points. Below that we have an info button, and I'm going to go ahead and turn on live view using my live view button, and now we can use our LCD. Now we can use our LCD. Okay, and our info button will give us different displays. This one is showing, hey, we're in manual mode and we have our touch autofocus on. Okay, we can also use a leveler to get level. We can also see additional information displayed on the top of the screen, or we can have nothing at all. The I button will bring up the live view touchscreen menu where we can control things like focus peaking, silent photography, active delighting, our crop size, things like that. And below that, as I mentioned, is our live view button, and this button is to get in and out of live view. If it's off, we're going to be looking through the optical viewfinder to take our shot. If we want to use the LCD to shoot, we choose our live view button and we're in. Around the live view button, we have a toggle switch that tells the camera, hit prepare for a still image as a camera, or let's get ready to shoot some video. All right, along the far left back of the camera, we have a function button, and this button can be programmed for most anything we want to use. An OK button. We have a minus magnification, a zoom out. This button also acts as the flash button to turn on flash and to browse types of flash. Above that, we have the more magnification or zoom in button. Then we have a security key lock button, and this protects an image from deletion. Here we can initiate our menu option, so we can go into our menu if we want to. Up the top we have a playback button, and this playback will let us see what's already been taking, what images we've already taken on the D850. Okay, and next to that is a delete button, trash can, and if we don't like our image, we can choose delete, hit it again, and it's gone. Then it jumps to the next video, and it jumps to the next image. Over here at the top right, we have an AF on button, and this is used for back button focus. It can be programmed for exposure locking and some other options. I use it for back button focus. It's the only way I focus. You'll see that a lot of people will program this for that feature. It's a lot easier for me than using my shutter button. Usually it only takes a day or two to turn this on, and you'll never leave it. You'll always use this. Just give it a shot and see if you like it. There's also a joystick here, and we can use this to control, again, menu options and autofocus, among other things. Okay, here is a command dial, and we use this to choose or scroll through options when we're using our menu system. To give you an example of that, if I'm choosing which mode I want to be in, I would push down my mode button here, and then I would use my wheel to decide which mode I want to be in or what settings I would want for that. It's also a dial, and so when we push in this dial release button, we can turn this and get more options, as you can see. So we're going to start with S, and S means a single shot. So with S on, if I want to shoot and I push my shutter button here, okay, what'll happen is I'll get one shot, and that's great. Now if I move that to CL, it's continuous low mode. It's going to shoot a few shots continuously, but not too fast, okay? If I want to shoot even faster than that, I can go into continuous high mode and get even more photos. The Q option is for quiet and quiet continuous. These are no quieter than the regular continuous modes. I don't know why they're on the camera. They're a colossal waste of time. I would suggest you never use them. Next to that, we have the self timer, and here we can decide if we're going to take a picture, but I need 5 or 10 seconds to run from the back of the camera to get in the photo, and so we'll use this option here. And the last option on the dial is mirror up, and this is actually very useful. What this will do is lift the mirror before we've taken a shot. And what that will do is cut down on vibrations that are occurring inside the camera and ultimately give you a sharper image. So for astro or landscape, or things where you just have this on a tripod and you need it to be fully at rest before you shoot, we would use a self-timer and then move over and use mirror up to lift that mirror so that the lifting of the mirror and the vibration from that has already occurred before we've taken our shot. On the very, very top of the camera is a hot shoe, so we can use this. It's a smart hot shoe. It's got, if we put a flash in it, it'll communicate with the flash. And then here we have a Nikkor lens. And the Nikkor lens is going to give us some information about our aperture. When we want to focus to infinity, you can see that we can do that here. On the side of the lens, there is a autofocus with manual mode on, meaning that hey, we're in autofocus, but manual mode would also work if you wanted to focus, or we could force only manual mode. Now there's several places that this can be done, and it only takes one of those places to enforce. If I turn manual mode here, I'm in manual mode no matter what. Even if I come over to this other button and choose autofocus. As long as one of these is set to manual, it will be manual. In order to have autofocus, they all need to be set to autofocus. Okay, and now we'll be able to autofocus. There's also another command dial in the front, and this is called the sub command dial, and it does more of the same. It's for options. The default option on this is going to be, when I'm in manual mode, is to change my aperture. So you'll see as I turn this wheel, my aperture changes. And the default action of the command dial is to change your shutter speed, as you can see I'm doing here. Okay, around the right-hand side, we've got a door that pops open, and there's two card readers in here, okay? One is an XQD card, and it's a bigger card. Here, let me turn off the camera and we'll show you. This is our XQD card, and this writes very fast, much faster than the other slot that we have. And this is the SD card, the one that you're probably more familiar with.